It started with a strange question from the new maid. "Sir, do you have a will?" He laughed it off. But that one question unraveled secrets, betrayal, and a storm that nearly destroyed everything he built. What happened next in this tale of sacrifice and shocking betrayal will leave you speechless. If you are just tuning into this channel, please subscribe to our channel, give this video a thumbs, and tell us where you are watching from in the comments. Chief Chuka stood on the balcony of his sprawling mansion, with his hands clasped behind his back. The morning sun painted soft golden strokes across the sky. The garden fountain whispered calmly in the background. The whole estate looked peaceful, perfect even. His face held joy, peace, and a deep sense of accomplishment. There was something heavy in the air. He wasn't just admiring the view, he was remembering. Many years ago, this same man had nothing. At just 15, Chuka's world collapsed when both of his parents died in a single car crash. In one night, he went from carefree teenage boy to head of a shattered home. Left with 4 younger siblings, Emeka, Obi, Ife, and Ngozi, he became their father, mother, and protector. And in doing so, he gave up everything he could have been. He dropped out of school without blinking. The pain in his chest wasn't just grief. It was fear, hunger, and desperation. He did whatever he could to survive. He pushed wheelbarrows in the market for traders twice his size. He sold pure water in scorching traffic under Lagos sun, running between buses, dodging insults. He hawked fairly used shirts and belts, walking long distances barefoot. There were times he scrubbed toilets in people's compounds just to buy Gary and groundnut for his siblings. At night, they all squeezed into a single room, no mattress, just a thin mat. Sometimes they slept on bare cement with torn wrappers. His siblings used his chest as pillow, and when the generator sounds outside faded, Chuka lay awake, praying for one more day of strength. He never once complained. He fed them, bathed them, washed their uniforms, packed their lunch boxes, braided Ife's hair, even helped Obi tie his shoelaces. The day Emeka got admission into university, Chuka sold his only phone to buy the acceptance fee. When Ngozi needed sanitary pads, he walked through rain to borrow money from a neighbor. Ife wanted to attend a school excursion once. He lied to get her name on the list, then worked all night cleaning a bakery to pay the bill before morning. Years passed. Chuka started working as a vulcanizer at a roadside mechanic shop. At first, he borrowed tools. Then he saved. One day, he was given a chance. Someone trusted him with a tire import connection. That single deal became his lifeline. The day he made his first million, he didn't shout. He walked into the bathroom, locked the door, and cried like a broken child. Not from greed, but relief. His siblings would never beg again. He built a boutique for Emeka. It collapsed. He started a wig line for Ife. It died within a year. He sponsored Obi to Europe. Obi returned after 2 years, broke, bitter, and changed. Ngozi married a banker, had a baby, then moved back to Chuka's house after her husband disappeared. Still, Chuka gave, and gave, and gave. He never counted. While his peers were buying cars, he was paying school fees. When his friends married early, he stayed back, wearing the same shirt and sandals, building a legacy from nothing. At 41, he met Amaka. She was gentle and strong, with eyes that saw him, not just the money, not just the fame, but the broken boy he had buried. Together, they built the business hire. They had 3 children, Isabel, smart and fiery, Daniel, thoughtful and quiet, and Emily, full of laughter and light. But Chuka still prioritized his siblings, even over his wife, even over his kids. Amaka once suggested they start saving more for their children's future. His response was swift. "What about Emeka's son's school fees? Or Ngozi's rent? They're my blood too, Amaka." He built houses for them, bought cars, paid for treatments, funded weddings. He was their bank, their shield, their emergency line. Now at 50, standing on this quiet balcony, Chuka smiled. He felt proud, deeply proud. He had come a long way from hawking pure water, pushing wheelbarrows and selling fairly used clothes. He had built a legacy with his back and bare hands. His siblings were doing well for themselves now. They had all found their footing. His children were thriving. His wife stood strong beside him. His businesses were flourishing. He finally felt like life was beginning. Everything was how it was supposed to be. Perfect. Until one day the old maid suddenly quit. And then the new maid arrived. Their longtime housemaid had resigned suddenly, and Chuka didn't blink. Hire another one, he had told Amaka. Dupe arrived the following week. She was in her late 30s, soft-spoken, and walked like her feet never touched the ground. Her eyes were calm, always observing. She didn't talk much, didn't gossip, didn't raise her voice. Her silence was unsettling, but effective. The children adored her instantly. She styled Emily's hair in beautiful plaits, helped Isabel study. Daniel whispered once to his mother, "Auntie Dupe is magic." Even Amaka agreed. "There's something special about this woman," she told Chuka. "She carries peace." The household ran smoothly with her around, until one strange morning. Chuka was descending the stairs dressed sharply for a crypto investment meeting. As he reached for his car keys on the console, Dupe stepped forward. "Good morning, sir," she said. He nodded. "Morning. Yes?" Her voice was quiet but firm. "Please, sir, I want to say something. I won't waste your time." He raised an eyebrow. "Talk." She hesitated. "Have you written your will, sir?" He blinked. "What?" "I had a dream last night. Something bad is coming. Please, write a will. Make arrangements. For your wife, your children, for their protection." His jaw tightened. "What kind of stupid talk is this? Are you mad? Is it hunger? Or too much comfort?" She bowed her head. "I only speak when I see, sir. And I saw danger." He was furious now. "What danger? The only people around me are my siblings. My blood. So what are you saying? That my own family wants to harm me?" Her lips barely moved. "Not everyone who smiles at you means well." He pointed toward the door. "If you ever say nonsense like this again, Dupe, consider yourself sacked." He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. That night he couldn't sleep. Amaka had drifted off beside him, snoring softly. But Chuka lay awake, staring at the ceiling fan turning slowly above him. Dupe's voice rang in his head. "Make arrangements. There are people around you. Be careful." Amaka rolled over. "Honey, what's wrong?" He didn't answer at first. "Nothing, just thinking." He turned to face the window. The garden lights flickered outside. The mansion was quiet. Too quiet. Somewhere in the dark, something had shifted, and Chief Chuka knew, deep in his bones, that peace was about to break. The sun rose slowly over the Hillstone estate, casting golden streaks across the balcony where Chief Chuka had stood the day before, deep in thought. But today he was no longer on the balcony. He was seated at his mahogany desk in his home office, a steaming cup of coffee untouched beside a stack of open files. The luxurious leather chair creaked softly as he leaned forward, his elbows resting on the desk, his fingers pressed together beneath his chin. There was a tightness in his chest, one that hadn't been there yesterday. It was as if something had entered the walls of his home, something invisible, something cold, and it had started with a voice, Dupe's voice. Her words still echoed in his mind like a song he didn't ask to hear. "Have you written your will, sir? People close to you don't mean you well." Chuka let out a sharp breath and pushed the files aside. His eyes narrowed. He picked up his phone and dialed. Emeka answered on the second ring. "Obel Dyke, my big brother!" Emeka's voice boomed with cheer. "Hope say no be money. Wahala this early morning?" Chuka's voice was low. "It's about the new maid." "Which one? The quiet one? Dupe?" "Yes. Something strange happened yesterday." He told Emeka everything. The dream, the will, the warnings. There was silence, then laughter. "You mean that slim girl with mosquito voice had the nerve to ask if you've written a will? Nain, sack her. Don't even waste time. These house helps, once they see mansion, they start imagining nonsense. You're feeding her, paying her salary, and she's dreaming about your death?" "I don't know. She wasn't rude. She sounded serious." "Serious co, curious knee. Listen to me, bro. Fire her. Loyal house helps stay everywhere. Don't let one prophet in apron confuse you. What does she know about life? You're the one that made all of us who we are. Forget her." Chuka didn't reply. The call ended, but the tightness in his chest remained. Later that afternoon, he walked into the kitchen. The scent of ogbono soup filled the air. Dupe stood over the gas cooker, stirring slowly. She didn't glance at him, but she sensed his presence. Her shoulders tensed. Then she spoke, her voice soft. "Sir, please don't be angry." Chuka's brow furrowed. "What is it again?" "It's not everything you experience in this house, in your marriage, that you should share outside. Some people around you are wearing the mask of family, but their hearts are far." Chuka stared at her, stunned. "Have you lost your mind?" Dupe didn't move. "You eat my food, sleep under my roof, and now you're accusing my own blood?" "I only speak when I see, sir. I don't speak carelessly. Say one more thing, and you won't see tomorrow morning in this house." He stormed out, his footsteps echoing through the corridor. Behind him, Dupe turned the gas off, wiped her hands on her wrapper, and stood there staring at nothing. That night, Amaka rolled over to face her husband. "You haven't touched your food. What's wrong?" Chuka sighed, his eyes fixed on the ceiling. "It's that maid. She's talking too much." "Dupe? She's been saying strange things, that someone is plotting against me, that I should write a will." Amaka sat up slightly. "Maybe she had a dream." "Exactly my problem. Now my house help is seeing visions. What's next?" "Honey," she said gently, "God can use anyone to send a warning, even a maid." Chuka scoffed. "Warn her. I don't want her speaking rubbish around the children." "I'll talk to her." The next morning, Amaka called Dupe to her bedroom. "Dupe," she said, folding her arms, "my husband told me what you said. Why did you say those things?" Dupe hesitated. Her voice was even softer now. "There is a business deal coming, from one of his brothers, crypto-related. They'll make it sound sweet, but if he signs, he will lose everything." "Ma, please stop him. It's a trap." Amaka's heart thudded. "Are you sure?" Dupe only nodded. "I don't talk unless I'm sure." That evening, Chuka was adjusting his tie in front of the mirror, preparing for an evening meeting, when Amaka entered the room. Her expression was guarded. "Honey, I had a dream," she said. He turned slowly. "You too?" "I saw you signing papers, and then everything crumbled. The house, your business, our life. It was a crypto deal from your brother." Chuka's face darkened. "Did that maid tell you to say this?" "No. Is this a game now? You and Dupe teaming up to destroy my trust in my own blood?" "No, Chuka, please. I didn't speak to her. I swear." He grabbed his briefcase. "I trust Amika. He's been with me since day one. I'm going for an important meeting. Don't wait up for it." He stormed out only to return hours later, and he completely ignored Amaka. He even laid with his back facing her. Silence. Uncomfortable, ear-piercing silence. The next morning, sunlight had barely warmed the tiles when Chuka came down the stairs dressed in a tailored gray suit. His briefcase sat by the door. He reached for his car keys on the glass console when he heard a soft voice behind him. "Sir?" He turned sharply. It was Dupe, standing silently near the staircase, hands folded, face unreadable. Chuka's brows drew together. "What now?" Her voice was calm, steady. "Sir, I know today is the day." "What day?" "The day you sign it, the deal." Chuka's heart skipped, but pride stood in front of it. "Dupe," she continued, "please don't sign it. If you do, everything you've built will fall. The money will vanish. The trust will die. You'll be left empty." He chuckled bitterly, then took a step closer. "Oh, so now you're not just a maid? You're a prophetess. You know the time, the day, even the contract?" Dupe said nothing. He pointed a finger. "You and my wife are now partners, Abi. You formed prayer meeting behind my back? You think I'm stupid? No, sir. Don't ever speak to me again." His voice thundered through the corridor like a slap. "As in, from this minute, you're no longer staff here. By the time I come back, you and your bag should be out of this house. I won't let a maid speak curses into my house." Amaka rushed out in her satin robe. "Chuka, what is going on?" Chuka didn't even look at her. He grabbed his briefcase, opened the door, and spat the last words out without turning. "That girl is gone, and if I hear that name again, I'll suspect both of you." He slammed the door so hard it echoed up the stairs. Dupe stood still. then slowly turned and walked back to the kitchen, silent but firm. That evening, as the city lights blinked across Lagos, Chuka sat in a high-end restaurant opposite Emeka. The contract was on the table. Emeka's eyes gleamed. "This deal will blow, big bro. They're ready to pay instantly. Just sign and enter the future." Chuka's fingers hovered over the pen. In his mind, he saw Isabel's laughter, Daniel's quiet strength, Emily's smile, his wife, his father's picture on the wall. He picked up the pen. "I'm in," he said quietly. "You're my brother. I trust you." They clinked glasses. The waiter smiled, but the chill that crept down Chuka's spine didn't leave. Still, he signed. Back at the mansion, the house was too quiet that night. Amaka had checked on the children 3 times already. Her eyes were fixed on her phone. She had called Chuka 4 times. No reply. Then the phone rang. Unknown number. Her heart jumped. "Hello? Baby girl!" It was Chuka, loud, tipsy, laughing. "Guess what? Chuka, where are you?" "Where else? I'm with Amika. The deal is done. Signed, sealed, delivered. We're billionaires, baby." "You still went ahead." "Of course. You think I'd let village visionaries control me? You and that nonsense maid better find somewhere else to preach." "Chuka, please." "No, you people thought you could control me with fear. But guess what? It's failed. I'm rich. We're rich." He hung up. Amaka stood in the middle of the living room, staring at the call screen. Her phone dropped to the floor. Her knees followed. 3 days later, Chuka woke up early. His eyes were red from celebration. He hadn't slept well, but he was eager to see how the money was growing. He reached for his phone and opened the crypto investment app. Error, account not found, he frowned. Refreshed, again. Then tried the bank app. Account balance, 000. He sat up. That had to be a glitch. He opened another investment platform. Locked, frozen, wiped. He was sweating now. Then his phone rang. It was Amika. He grabbed it. "Bro, something is wrong." "Big bro, I've been crying since morning." "What happened?" "They scammed us, I swear. My guy just called me. The whole thing was fake. The company doesn't exist." "What?" "I swear I didn't know. I thought it was real. I only put in N1 million to test it." Silence. Then Chuka whispered, "I put 40. Mecca didn't speak. Then barely audible. "Jesus." Chuka let the phone fall. His body leaned forward like something had collapsed inside him. He covered his mouth, gasping for air. "Everything is gone." The study had never seen him cry. Not once. But that morning, the walls bore witness. Chuka sat at his desk surrounded by files, old checks, tax documents, reminders of a man who once had control. Now his hands trembled. His chest rose and fell in short bursts. He looked at the framed photo on the shelf. Him and Amaka on their wedding day. Then another. Him and Amika when they bought their first land. Then his voice cracked. "God, how did this happen?" He put his head on the desk and wept. Not like a man, but like a boy who had been lied to. 2 days later, Hillstone gates opened to a brand new SUV. Chuka was standing on the balcony, shirt open, no slippers. He watched Ameka step out, shades on, new wristwatch glinting. "My brother!" Ameka shouted, walking towards the house. Chuka descended the stairs slowly. "You bought a car?" "Ah, yes, now. I've been paying since now. Just balanced it small. "You said you lost money." "I did owe. I'm still owing Seth. But I just say make I enjoy small. This life no get duplicate." Chuka nodded, but inside his chest something twisted. Not loud, just deep. A pain without name. That night Chuka didn't sleep. He sat upright in bed, back against the headboard, staring at the ceiling like it had answers. Beside him, Amaka turned but didn't speak. He was thinking about everything. The crypto, the zeros, dupe, Emeka, all the siblings who had taken money and never returned it, all the stories, the broken promises, the years of giving, of trusting. Then it hit him. What if they never really loved me? He looked at his wife. She was awake too, watching him. He didn't say it out loud, but she heard it. She reached for his hand, but he didn't move. He didn't sleep that night because something in him had finally cracked, and no amount of money could glue it back. The kitchen had never been this quiet. No bubbling pot, no humming maid, no aroma of stew, just stillness and sorrow. Chuka stepped in slowly like a man sleepwalking through his own home. He was wearing a white t-shirt that clung to his body like regret, and his gray slippers slapped the tiled floor with every reluctant step. His face looked worn, eyes sunken, lips dry. He reached for the fridge without looking around, opened it, pulled out a bottle of water, and drank like he hadn't tasted peace in years. By the kitchen counter, Dupe was slicing vegetables. She didn't speak. She didn't turn. She just kept slicing. He shut the fridge, turned to leave, then paused. That silence again. It wasn't an empty silence. It was a loud one, heavy, personal, like an insult. He turned halfway and muttered, "Say it." Dupe kept her knife moving. "Say what, sir?" "You know what I mean," he said, his voice low and bitter. "Say it. Say I should have listened. Say I told you so. Say it." She stopped slicing, turned her head slowly. Her eyes met his, calm, clear, not proud, not angry, just sad. "Sir, I didn't want to be right," she said. He blinked, looked away. "But I warned you," she added, and turned back to the chopping board. Chuka didn't respond. He just nodded to himself slowly, like a man accepting a truth too painful to admit out loud. Then he walked out, like his legs were carrying shame they didn't know how to hold. That afternoon, Amaka was in her room, sitting on the edge of the bed, one hand on her cheek, the other gripping the bed sheet like she was trying to hold herself together. She looked up as Dupe entered. "My husband," she whispered, "he's broken. I've never seen him like this." Dupe stood still by the door, her hands folded in front of her, her eyes lowered respectfully, but her voice was firm. "He should be careful. It's not over yet." Amaka frowned. "What do you mean?" "There's still danger." Amaka sat up straighter. "What kind of danger again, Dupe?" Dupe stepped forward slightly. "There's a trip coming. Both of you. You're planning to travel for business." Amaka's mouth parted. "Yes, next week. How do you know that?" Dupe looked straight at her, and her voice dropped lower, almost like a whisper from a place that wasn't of this world. "If you go, you may not return." Amaka's heart skipped. Her face turned pale. Dupe didn't blink. "Please stop him. Don't go." Amaka stared at her like she was staring at a message she didn't want to read. Then she nodded slowly, fear crawling up her spine. Later that evening, Chuka was in his office again. The desk was a mess of files, receipts, empty envelopes, and bounced checks. His phone kept vibrating with new alerts. Bills, debts, more bad news. He looked like a man who had aged overnight, his beard untrimmed, his shirt wrinkled, his eyes undistant. 40 million gone, he mumbled to himself, tapping his pen on the table. Just like that. Now this deal, this one must not fail. The door opened quietly. Amaka stepped in. "Chuka." He didn't look up. "Yes. I've been thinking, do we really have to go next week?" He raised his head sharply. "You know we do. This contract is our last hope. Amaka, you see what's happening? School fees, staff salaries, even the fridge stopped working. My siblings are already begging me again. If I don't get this deal, we are finished." She stepped closer. "But Dupe." He shot up from his chair. "Stop bringing that maid into my business." She flinched. "I am the head of this house. I am trying to save us, and you're still quoting a housemaid to me. Is that what we've become?" She opened her mouth, closed it again. His chest was heaving. "I will go on that trip, Amaka, whether you come with me or not." He turned away. She stood there for a while, then left the room quietly, like someone retreating from a war they didn't start. That night they lay in bed, not touching, not speaking. Amaka turned slowly to face him in the darkness. "Chuka," she whispered. He sighed. "What now?" "I'm scared." He said nothing. "I can't explain it, but something feels wrong. Dupe hasn't said anything since. That silence scares me more than all her warnings." He turned to face the ceiling. You're saying you trust her more than me? No, I'm saying maybe she sees what we don't. He didn't reply. They lay in silence, side by side, but a world apart. The morning of the trip came like a thief in the night. Bags packed, car parked, driver waiting. Chuka came down in a gray caftan and polished sandals. He looked fine on the outside, but his face was tense. His eyes carried something dark. Amaka wore a smart navy blue gown and light makeup, but her hands trembled when she held her bag. The children were in the living room, dressed in pajamas, watching cartoons, but no one was laughing, not even Emily. Dupe stood by the stairs, watching. As Amaka walked to the car, she stopped in front of Dupe. Her voice cracked. Please, take care of my children. Dupe nodded. With my life. Amaka bent to hug them one by one. Emily wouldn't let go. It took a nanny to separate them gently. Then Isabel turned to Dupe and said in a trembling voice, Auntie Dupe, I will miss Mummy and Daddy. Dupe bent down, touched her cheek, and forced a smile. Thank God you have sweet Auntie Dupe, she said quietly. The SUV pulled out of the compound. The children waved. Dupe stood still, her hands clenched tight, her lips pressed together. She didn't blink, not once. That evening, the sky turned gray. The house was quiet, too quiet. Then, chaos. Screams from the gate. The security man ran into the house, shouting and waving his phone. Madam, Jesus, something done happen, oh? Dupe took the phone. Her face didn't move, not once. She read the headline. Breaking news. Tanker explosion on Lekki-Epe Expressway. Black SUV. No survivors. Mr. and Mrs. Nwachuku. Confirmed victims. She looked at the children. They were playing with Legos. Innocent. Unaware. She didn't scream. Didn't fall. Didn't shake. She just walked to them and pulled them into her arms. She held them tightly. I'm here, she whispered. That evening, the storm arrived. The front door burst open. Chuka's siblings, Emeka, Obi, Ife, and Ngozi, came in like a flood. They were wailing, screaming, falling, rolling. Chuka! Chuka, my brother! Emeka shouted. Who will pay our children's school fees now? Ife cried. You carried all our burdens. Now you've left us? Obi wept. Ngozi threw herself on the marble floor, tore her wrapper, rolled and screamed like she was possessed. The children stood still, afraid, confused. Isabel turned to Dupe. Why is Uncle crying? Daniel looked up. Auntie Dupe, what happened to Mummy and Daddy? Ngozi wailed louder. Daniel, Isabella, your father and mother are dead. She screamed it like a curse. Fire, oh, fire! They burst to ashes! Oh, death, you are wicked! Daniel began to cry. Isabel screamed and ran into Dupe's arms. Emily clutched Dupe's hand, her lips trembling. They said Mummy and Daddy are dead. What does dead mean, Auntie Dupe? Dupe knelt, pulled them close. She didn't cry, but her voice broke as she whispered, Everything is going to be fine. The mansion that once echoed with laughter had now turned into a jungle of whispers, sharp stares, and unsettling silence. Days had passed since the accident that stole Chuka and Amaka from the world, but the air inside Hillstone Mansion was still thick with disbelief. The walls had heard too much. The children had seen too much. And yet nobody had time to grieve properly. Emeka and the others had rushed to the mortuary the morning after the news broke, demanding to see their brother's remains. But the officials at the morgue gave them the same cold statement. The corpses were beyond recognition, burnt beyond medical identification. They didn't argue. They didn't press. They simply pointed at two random, unclaimed bodies and said, That's them. Within 4 days, Chuka and Amaka were buried like street dogs. No proper rites, no honor, no legacy celebration, no farewell, just silence and dust. Dupe stood at a distance throughout, her arms around Emily, who sobbed endlessly. She didn't argue. She didn't interfere, but her eyes followed everything. Later that evening, Isabella clung to her skirt, her eyes swollen with grief. Auntie Dupe, she whispered, how will everything be fine? Mummy and Daddy are gone, and my uncles and aunties, They've taken over everything. Dupe knelt down to her level. She wiped Isabella's tears gently, her own face calm. Don't be afraid, my darling. Everything will be fine. You have to be strong for Emily, okay? She needs you now. But even as she said it, her eyes drifted toward the corridor. Shadows of Chuka's siblings flitted past, whispering in corners, making phone calls, holding secret meetings. Something was coming, and it wasn't good. One evening, while returning laundry to the master bedroom, Dupe passed by Chuka's home office. The door was slightly ajar. Voices leaked out like snakes slithering into the night. Emika's voice came first, calm and confident. He didn't leave a will. Let's just divide everything equally amongst ourselves. The kids are too small to know anything. Ngozi asked sharply, but can we access his bank accounts and land deeds? Emika chuckled. Don't worry. I know where he kept all his documents. I also have his passwords. Accessing his accounts won't be a problem at all. Obi added, that's a good idea. What belongs to our late brother also belongs to us. But what about the children? Who will look after them? Everyone turned toward Ify and Ngozi. Emika smirked. Well, the women here can help us look after them. Ngozi shot him a deadly glare. Don't look at me like that, Emeka. I'm not raising those spoilt brats. I'm still raising my own children. Ify snapped her gum. We can send them to an orphanage if they become a problem. Or better yet, send them to their mother's people. Good idea, they all chorused. Dupe stepped away from the door slowly. Her heart was racing, but her face stayed calm. She said nothing. No complaints, no resistance. She simply carried on her duties in the mansion, comforting the children when she could, cooking when she was allowed, staying out of trouble. Until one afternoon, Dupe was summoned to the living room. Ify and Ngozi sat on the couch like court judges, arms crossed, lips curled. Ngozi started. We've heard so much about you. Thank you for taking care of our late brother's children, but your services are no longer needed. Pack your things and get out. Dupe stood there stunned. But Ma, the children still need me. Emily can't sleep unless I tuck her in. I'm not asking for salary. Just let me stay and take care of them a while longer. Ify hissed. Never. You think we don't know how you were whispering into our brother's ears? We know how you poisoned him against us. You must leave. Before she could plead again, the guards were called. Her bags were flung outside. The new gateman locked the gate behind her like she was a common thief. Inside the mansion, Isabella, Daniel, and Emily cried for days. Emily refused to eat. Daniel stopped speaking for a while, but the storm had just begun. The relatives moved in like termites. Cousins arrived in droves under the guise of mourning. Ngozi's teenage daughter started wearing Amaka's shoes. Ify's son drove Chuka's Lexus. Emika took over the master bedroom, complete with Chuka's wristwatch and perfume collection. Every night, parties were held by the poolside. Loud music boomed past midnight. Alcohol, laughter, weed, strangers. One night, Emily began to cry. The music was too loud. Isabella approached Chidi, one of the cousins. Uncle Chidi, please reduce your music. My sister can't sleep. Chidi turned to her with bloodshot eyes. Are you mad? Who is this rat? You now have mouth to talk to me in my uncle's house? She stepped back. You spoilt brat. I blame my uncle for marrying your useless mother. All of you are cursed. Get out of my face before I send you to join your mother in hell. Isabella ran back inside, shaking. Then came the hunger. The pantry ran empty. Nobody restocked. The adults were too busy fighting over land documents to care. Some days the children would go without food till evening. Most days they ate stale bread or drank gari. One afternoon, Isabella tried to cook noodles. She was slapped. You told me to enter my kitchen? Ngozi barked. You want to burn down this house with your witchcraft? No, Auntie. We're just hungry. We haven't eaten since morning, Ngozi hissed. Must you eat 3 times a day? Spoilt brats. They were turned into house helps. Isabella and Daniel now swept the mansion, mopped floors, washed plates. Most nights, Isabella would sneak into the kitchen to steal raw noodles just to keep Emily from crying. One day, Amaka's aged mother and some relatives came to see the children. They were stopped at the gate. You can't see them now, Emika said solemnly. Our oracle said they must remain indoors. Chuka's death wasn't ordinary. Something may still attack them. They must stay under this roof. Amaka's mother knelt, weeping. At least let me see my grandchildren for 1 minute. Ngozi faked tears. No, Mama. Please understand. The oracle said 6 months. The pastor came. He was turned away. The school sent representatives. They were thrown out. The children stopped schooling. The world forgot them. Then Emily fell sick. Coughing, fever, wheezing. Her asthma returned. Isabella went to Ngozi. Auntie, please. Emily is sick. She needs a doctor. Ngozi didn't even look up. Go and ask the others. She went to Emeka. He was on Chuka's bed watching a movie. Uncle Emeka, please. My sister is very sick. We need to take her to the hospital. He laughed. These Indomie children. Must you go to the hospital for common headache? Give her paracetamol. When I was your age, I never saw a hospital. Leave me, please. That night, Emily was burning up. She cried in her sleep, and Isabella made a decision. At 2:14 a.m., she woke Daniel. Carry her legs. I'll hold her head. They tiptoed through the kitchen. The mansion was dark, quiet. The cousins were snoring. The kitchen door creaked. They paused, waited. No sound. They opened the gate. The security man was asleep on a mat, snoring loudly. They stepped outside, barefoot, and ran into the cold night, terrified, alone, but free. Isabella, Daniel, and Emily had been trekking in the dead of night for what felt like hours. The street was silent, swallowed in thick shadows. The only sound was the soft patter of their bare feet on the tarred road and the faint wheezing from Emily, who was bundled in Isabella's arms, burning with fever. They were tired, hungry, terrified, but they had no choice. Their little legs kept moving forward through the darkness. Home was no longer home. Hope was all they had. Daniel whimpered beside his sister, clutching the hem of her nightgown. Isabella, I'm scared. I'm scared too, she whispered back, adjusting Emily's weight in her arms, her eyes darting left and right, terrified they'd see a flashlight or hear Ngozi's shouting voice echoing behind them. But we need to keep moving. We need to find Auntie Dupe. She's the only one that truly loves us. They rounded a sharp bend, and then it happened. Headlights, a car, bright, blinding. The horn blared. Tires screeched. The children froze like deer in headlights. The car came to a violent halt just inches from them. A woman jumped out of the driver's seat, panting. Jesus, what are you doing in the middle of the road at this time of the night? Are you trying to kill yourselves? Where are your parents? Daniel burst into tears. Please, Ma, help us. Our mummy and daddy are dead. Our aunties and uncles beat us and starve us. My sister is very sick. Please help us. Without another word, the woman opened the back seat door and ushered them in, placing Emily gently across the seats. She sped off, glancing repeatedly at the children in the rearview mirror. Minutes later, she brought them to her small bungalow and hurried them inside. She fed Daniel and Isabella warm rice and stew, but Emily could barely eat. Her eyes were glassy, her breath shallow. The woman brought out her phone and handed it to Isabella. Call someone, anyone. Isabella's fingers trembled as she dialed. Auntie Dupe? It's me. Isabella. We ran away. Emily is very sick. Please, can you come get us? 45 minutes later, Dupe burst through the front door, hair disheveled, wrapper hastily tied over her nightgown. She rushed to Emily and scooped her up. Thank you, madam, she said to the kind stranger. God bless you. At the hospital, they waited in the corridor with silent prayers on their lips. Dupe held the children close. Isabella refused to let go of her hand. The minutes dragged like hours. Then the doctor emerged. She's stable now. We've given her oxygen and meds. She'll be fine. But it was close. Very close. The next morning, Dupe took the children home. To her modest one-bedroom apartment. She cooked hot yam porridge, bathed them, tucked them into her bed. That night, they all slept in the same room, safe, warm, together. Back at Hillstone Mansion, morning arrived like a storm. Ngozi's voice shattered the silence. Isabella, are you still sleeping by this time? Daniel, lazy brats, come out and sweep this compound before I descend on you. She marched into their room. Empty, panic. Where are they? Who saw them? Check the backyard. Check the toilets. Check the store. The entire house erupted in chaos. Emika made frantic phone calls. Obi shouted instructions. Ify clutched her chest and collapsed onto a couch. But the children were nowhere to be found. The next day, the siblings, dressed in fake mourning clothes, marched into the police station shedding crocodile tears. Our brother's children are missing, Emika said, dabbing at dry eyes. We are devastated. Please find them. But the police were suspicious. Something felt off. Then came the thunder. It was a week later. A crack of lightning split the sky as multiple black vans stormed Hillstone Estate. EFCC trucks, police patrols, army backup, sirens blaring. Uniformed officers poured out like a flood. Neighbors peered from balconies. Drivers abandoned their cars to watch. They surrounded the mansion. Then, knock, knock, knock. The front door creaked open. Chidi appeared, yawning in his rumpled pajamas. He blinked at the officers. "What'd happen? You people know they sleep for Una Station?" One glance at the sea of uniforms and Chidi slammed the door shut. Inside, Emika, Obi, Ify, and Ngozi scrambled. They rushed outside wearing Chuka's kaftan, Amaka's wrappers, smelling of luxury they didn't earn. "Officers, what is going on? Who sent you?" Emika barked. "Eviction notice," the police chief said flatly. "The owner of this house wants you all out immediately." "What owner?" "We are the owners. This is our brother's house and he's dead," Ngozi shouted, spittle flying. "Not quite," said a voice. They turned. Two figures emerged from the EFCC van. Whole, healthy, alive. Chuka, Amaka. Ngozi screamed, "Jesus! It's his ghost! Chuka's ghost has come to haunt us!" Chuka stepped forward, eyes hard, voice sharp. "I am the owner of this house, and I am very much alive." He stopped right in front of them. Silence blanketed the mansion. "I built this house with my hands, my sweat, my back, my youth. You all know what I sacrificed. For you, for this family. I gave you everything. School, jobs, money, shelter. And this is how you repay me?" Ngozi dropped to her knees. Ify started to cry. Emika's lips quivered. "You divided my property like gala. You turned my children into housemaids. You wore my clothes. You wore my wife's clothes. You took over everything. You even tried to kill me," gasps. Chuka turned to Emika. "The brakes. You tampered with them. You wanted me dead." "It was the devil," Emika sobbed. "Please, we didn't mean it. We thought..." "Enough. The cameras caught everything. I saw how you treated my children. I saw how you threw out dupe. I saw it all." He turned to the EFCC agents. "Take them away. Every kobo they stole. Every lie they told. They must pay for it." The siblings were dragged out screaming. Emika's account was frozen. His cars and houses seized. Ngozi's boutique shut down. Ify's salon closed. Everything liquidated. Hillstone Mansion returned to silence. Chuka stood in the middle of his living room, broken, betrayed, but grateful. He turned to Amaka. "I should have listened to you. I'm sorry." She held his hand. "We're together now. That's what matters." 2 days later, Dupe walked into the children's room with a soft smile. "Pack your bag," she said. Emily blinked. "Why, Auntie Dupe?" "We're going home." "This is our home now," Daniel said. "No, your real home. The one filled with love." Isabel held her tightly. "You're going to leave us, Abby, like Mummy and Daddy." Dupe gently touched their cheeks. "Don't you trust me? We trust you, but not them." "Then follow me." They took a cab. The ride was silent, heavy. When the gates of Hillstone Mansion opened, the children froze. There, on the steps, stood Chuka and Amaka, alive, whole. Tears burst like a dam. "Mummy, Daddy!" Bags dropped. Feet ran. Arms opened. They crashed into their parents, holding them like life itself. "They told us you were dead. It's a long story, but we're here now." They cried, all of them, and Dupe stood back, wiping her tears. Chuka pulled the children close and told them everything. "The brakes were tampered with. We crashed, but Dupe warned us. We survived. We faked our deaths to see who truly loved us. Now we know." Then he turned to Dupe. "You saved our children. You saved our legacy. How do we repay you? Dupe smiled. Just one thing. Write a will. Secure your children's future and show kindness, the way I showed your family. Chuka nodded. Already done. Then my work here is done, Dupe said. Wait, what do you mean? Another family needs me. The children wailed. Don't go. She hugged them tight. I'll keep in touch. You're safe now. That's all that matters. She stepped into the sunlight and disappeared down the long driveway. The wind whispered behind her. A new family was waiting. The Hillstone mansion was alive again. The morning sun filtered through tall glass windows, casting warm streaks of light across the marble floor. The smell of scrambled eggs, fried plantain, and hot chocolate drifted from the kitchen. Somewhere down the hallway, laughter echoed. A deep, free, full laughter that hadn't been heard in weeks. But in the master bedroom upstairs, Chuka stood still at the balcony, his arms crossed, his back straight, his eyes heavy. He looked out over the estate he had built with his bare hands, the same estate that had almost been stolen from him by blood. He didn't say much, but inside the weight of betrayal, recovery, and survival pulsed through him. His heart beat slowly as he breathed in the cool morning air. It tasted like something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. Amira stepped in, quietly, with a tray of tea and bread. She didn't need to say a word. He turned slightly, accepted the cup from her, and whispered, We're still standing. She smiled and walked to his side. They didn't need to speak. They just stood there, together, alive, whole, watching the world they nearly lost come back to life. Later that morning, Chuka sat in his study, flipping through a thick document his lawyer had sent. It was a forensic audit of everything he had lost. Over 200 million naira siphoned, 3 properties illegally sold, investments ruined. His company's reputation, once sterling, now stained. But he didn't cry. He reached for a pen and wrote across the last page, We start again. The next day, Chuka walked into his company headquarters wearing his signature navy blue suit. The entire office paused, gasps, stares. Then, Frank, his personal assistant, stood up. Sir, we thought you were gone. For good. Chuka patted him gently. Not anymore. In the boardroom, the mood was stiff. Some of the investors had been among those who betrayed him, but Chuka didn't raise his voice. He just looked each person in the eye. From today, we rebuild from the ground up. No shortcuts, no fake deals. If I catch anyone trying to play games with my company again, prison will be your portion. Silence. Then a nervous clap. Then more. Soon the entire room stood and clapped. The giant was back. That evening, just as the household began to wind down, the security guard rang the doorbell. A package. No name. No return address. Just a clean white envelope on top of a large brown box. Amara opened it and gasped. Inside were 3 iPads, new school bags, personalized journals with each child's name, and a silver necklace that simply read, Dupe loves you. The children screamed, Auntie Dupe! She didn't forget us. Chuka looked up from his seat and smiled. She never would. School resumed the following Monday. The car drove slowly into the school compound. The children stepped out in polished shoes, neatly pressed uniforms, and glowing faces. As they walked through the hallway, whispers followed. Isn't that Emily? Their dad's alive? Weren't they poor last month? The children ignored the noise. They walked with heads high, dignity restored. At assembly, the principal cleared her throat. We have 3 brave children among us. They survived betrayal, loss, and pain. Yet they never lost their kindness. Today, we welcome back Emily, Daniel, and Isabel. The school stood and clapped. A few Saturdays later, Chuka decided to visit the supermarket. No escort, no aide, just himself. He was scanning the cereal aisle when a small voice called out, Sir, you dropped your car keys. He turned. A little girl, not more than 10, stretched the key toward him. He smiled. Thank you, sweetheart. Behind her stood a woman. No wrapper, no scarf. Just a clean brown blouse and a skirt. Dupe. He blinked. Dupe? She smiled. Chuka. They shook hands. "You look good," he said. "So do you. I work with another family now, but I thought to check in. You always show up at the right time. You always needed a good shaking." He laughed. For the first time in months, a full laugh. "Thank you. For everything. Thank your wife and children. They were stronger than you." She turned and walked away, as quiet as usual. Weeks passed. Chuka sat with his lawyer again. "Set up a trust fund for my children. One property each. A percentage of every company in Amara's name. And if I die, make sure no family member ever touches a dime." "Done, sir." "One more thing," Chuka said, staring at the ceiling. "Let's build something. A legacy." He and Amara launched a foundation for displaced children, a way to repay all the kindness they got from their angel in Encaradoupe. She had told them to show kindness to others, so that was what they did. At the mansion, they held family dinners again. The kids started ballet and piano lessons again. The house breathed. One evening, Chuka returned to his balcony, the same one where it all started. Below, Amara and the kids were playing tag. He sipped his juice. He didn't say anything. He just looked at the sky and whispered, "Dupe, wherever you are, thank you." The Hillstone mansion was whole again, not because everything lost was returned, but because everything that mattered was never truly gone. Thank you for watching. What do you think of this story? Let me know of your thoughts in the comment section below. Until I bring another intriguing story your way again, bye for now.